Hey, whoa, quiet, I don't want to hear it. All right, so they gave me 3 or 4 main talking points, and I'm going to hit them all. So I'm Langamo today. So first of all, this is our Komets VS Cancer assembly. This is, I want to see some comet excellence out there. All right, a lot of comet excellence. This is our house, and we need to respect it, okay? All right? What was the other talking point? I already forgot. We got high expectations. High expectations, all right? Let's go Komets. All right, so thank you to Mr. Langamo for that great introduction. Welcome to the Komets vs. Cancer Kickoff Assembly. Next week, we will begin most of our events.
Similar to previous years, we will be selling t-shirts, hosting silent auctions, and doing fundraiser initiatives at each sporting event coming up. On January 11th, girls hockey had their cancer event, which raised over $1,800 in just one day. Let's keep up that in the future events to come.
Gymnastics just went last night, and they raised like $170, so that's good for them. We have dance on January 28th, wrestling on January 30th, girls basketball on January 31st, boys basketball on February 11th. We are always looking for donations for our silent auctions on these nights. If you have any special talents, crafts, or items you'd like to donate, please let us know.
So next week, 3-on-3 basketball begins. Seniors will play on Monday, and I don't think we have many teams, so if you and friends want to get together and make a team, that should do. Juniors on Tuesday, sophomores will play on Wednesday, and freshmen on Thursday, and the finals will be held on Friday. Please see about joining a team, because we are running low on participants this year.
If you would like a t-shirt, please stop by the high school guidance office and pick one up. They're only $10, and all proceeds go to the Relay for Life.
We are hoping to raise $20,000 in 2020. If we reach that, hopefully Mr. Matuska will dye his hair comet blue, and Mr. Trinan will shave his head.
So today to kick off Komets vs. Cancer, we have Jenny Steffes speaking with us. She has been in the battle against cancer and is here today to share her story. Help us raise awareness for this cause.
Raise as much money as we can this year. Remember our goal of $20,000. Now let's welcome Jenny Steffes to share her story.
This on? Hi everybody. Hi Komets. I will not tell you that I'm a Rochester Mayo Spartan because I don't want to be booed out of the room, but thank you so much for the invitation today to come and speak to you. I'm going to share a little bit about my story and how cancer has impacted me and my family, my teenagers and my elementary kiddos. I have 4 kids. And then just talk a little bit about the power of showing up. So first of all, thanks for showing up today. It sounded like some of you had the option to maybe be at lunch or be here. So if you chose to be here, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here to support Komets vs. Cancer and to support your students and everything you guys are doing. So like I mentioned, my name is Jenny. I'm from Rochester, and I am 40 years old. 40-year-old moms can still rock mohawks, you guys. This was not the plan, but this is where life has led us. So, April of 2019, so less than a year ago. So a year ago today, we were rolling into the new year. Life was awesome. Like I said, I have 4 kids. I love my kids more than anything. They're amazing kiddos. I am married, and I was running 2 businesses, one out of my home, and one I was cleaning houses part-time. But it was part-time, so I was home a lot. I was running my own schedule, almost 40 years old, and life was really good. My kids were in a good place, everything was awesome. Life was really good. And then we always go into the new year, you know, excited about new goals or new things we want to do. I had joined a CrossFit gym. I've kind of been in and out of gyms, and I was in a new gym that I was loving, so I was working out, and I was just feeling amazing. I did not feel sick. I did not feel like anything was wrong with me. April 7th of 2019, I woke up on a Sunday and I did not feel well at all. I felt very sick. I felt like I had gotten the flu. And I was home alone because my husband and kids had gone to my husband's family farm in Wisconsin, and they were helping Grandpa with things, and they were coming home that Sunday, but I was home alone, and I had a seizure. And I've never had a seizure before, so I didn't know right away what was going on. And it had knocked me unconscious, so as I was coming to, really confused, wasn't quite sure what was going on, I just thought, gosh, I must be so sick. So I had moved from my bed to the couch, and now I was moving back to my bed to go back to bed and try and sleep, because I thought I have to feel better before my family gets home. And I had another seizure in my bed. So this time I knew, okay, something's wrong. Something's really wrong here. So I called my girlfriend, who's a nurse, who actually lives in Casson, and she rushed into Rochester and picked me up. By that time, my husband was just getting home and drove me to the emergency room, and I had another seizure in front of her and in front of the ER staff. So I was at Mayo Clinic. They do a whole bunch of testing. Because you're having seizures, they know something's going on in the brain. So I had what they call an MRI, which is a picture of the brain. And it took quite a few hours, but about midnight that night, the doctors came in and said, we have found a mass. You have a tumor on your brain. I don't remember a lot of that, because when you go through something major like that and you have many seizures like that, there's some trauma to the brain, and so memory, and actually to this day, because of treatments, memory is still like, my family picks on me. Okay, chemo brain, they call me, or you're not gonna remember this tomorrow anyway, Mom, get over it. So we joke around a lot at home, but my memory of not only past events, but like day to day, it's tough, and it'll come back, it'll build its way back, but I don't remember a lot about being diagnosed. However, my poor husband had to take that news and then pay it forward to our family and let our family know, who knew I was in the ER, that they had found something and that it wasn't good. So I had stayed in the hospital for a few days. They did a whole bunch of testing. They came back and said that the tumor that was on my brain is not operable, meaning they cannot go in and take it out. They can't just go in and do surgery and take the tumor out. It's sitting on my motor strip on the left part of my brain, so if you pay attention in health, it's the left side that controls the right side of your body. And so the right side of my body now had weakness, I had tingling and weird sensations in my hand, and that's where all the seizure activity was on the right side. The tumor sits over here and pushes right on my motor strip. Is that better if I'm closer? That got really loud. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. And so it's sitting right here pushing, and there's lots of pressure. There was lots of inflammation and from the seizures and stuff, some stuff going on up there. So I was told on Wednesday they weren't going to remove it, but they still had to go in and do brain surgery, which is crazy to be told. In 2 days, we're going to do brain surgery on you. And they had to go in and they had to get some biopsies. They had to take part of the tumor out, at least so that we knew what it was. They can't diagnose it without having the tissue. So on Friday, April 12th, I had brain surgery, which kind of makes me, pretty cool. How many people can say they've had brain surgery? So they go in, and they cut the scalp open, and they drill in, and they go in your brain, and they take part of the tumor out. And then I had to wait 13 days to find out what I was up against. And that was the longest 13 days of my life. And some of you can probably relate when you're going through something and you're worried about something, or you don't know what's going to happen because of something. It's that unknown. It's when you can't plan for it or you don't know the answers yet that is so scary, because our minds play tricks on us. And we want to know how to plan, or how we're going to move forward, or what the answer is, or what the diagnosis is, or how we're going to deal with this problem or that problem. And it's really hard when you don't know. But I used that time to just really set my mind space right. I had done a lot of self-development and a lot of, I don't read, I hate reading, I'll be honest with you. I am not a good reader, and once I realized that, it was a huge blessing because nowadays we can do Audible and we can listen to books. And so I was doing a lot of Audible books and listening and actually retaining information for the first time in a long time in my life when I would read and take things in. And I also listen to podcasts. Podcasts are so awesome. My teenage son listens to them. You can find anything from murder mysteries to self-development. I'm in the self-development end, but whatever it is that you're interested in it. And so I would listen a lot to podcasts and audiobooks about self-development, self-growth, controlling my mindset, being in charge, changing my life, all these things. And I had done this prior to finding out that I had brain cancer. So when I found out, I was already in a good mind space, but I had to use those 13 days to keep things in check so that I didn't lose control, so that I didn't have a panic attack, so that I didn't let fear take control and make me think the worst, because I really had no idea. On April 25th, we went in and we found out that it was a grade 2, that is actually a slow-growing tumor. I've had it since 2016, so I've walked around with this thing for over 3 years in my head, having no idea. And it was very treatable. So the thing was, some cancers, you treat it, you wipe it out, it's gone, you're in remission, you can live for years without it. Brain cancer is different. Brain cancer is not 100% treatable. They get it under control, they kill as much of the tissue as they can, and then it stays stable. It just sits there. And we want it to just sit there and not change and not grow, and it can do that for 20, 30 years. So it wasn't a death sentence for me. I have a lot more talking to do because I'm a talker, but I have to walk the walk first. So I had proton radiation, which is when they deliver radiation to the brain. I lost almost all my hair, which was probably the hardest part. Girls, you can probably relate. I will never tell anybody when they go through a cancer battle that losing your hair is no big deal because it's just hair. It was a really big deal to me. It was really hard. It was really hard to be a female who was half bald. And so that for me was a big struggle. And I bought wigs that were itchy and heavy, and I ended up just resorting to the regular old cancer cap. But then when you would go places, people knew, and you'd get those looks, and people just knew. You looked sick, but I didn't always feel sick. And so it was a struggle, and it was staying in, again, the right mind space and knowing that this was short term. I didn't know that I'd end up in a place where I could rock a platinum blonde mohawk, but now I am. So there you go, you never know. I am still in the middle of chemo, so I have a couple more rounds of chemo. You caught me on a good day. Some days I sleep about 20 out of the 24 hours in a day, but I have a few days here and there throughout the cycles, they're 8-week cycles, where I actually feel pretty normal, pretty good, pretty healthy. I don't feel sick, and today is one of those days, which is so awesome. And so we will wrap up in May or June, we will wrap up with chemo, and then I literally have to figure out how to go back to normal living. I haven't been working since April, I have been sleeping since April, I have been going to the Mayo Clinic multiple times a week since April. It's been crazy, so to try and figure out how to go back to normal and not live in fear, and to go back to work and to just continue to be a normal person and to live healthy is my next journey in life. That's my story, that's where I'm at now, but here's what's the most important part. The best part about this whole journey, and it's hard to have cancer, and it's hard to not feel good, and you have to find this place where you accept that this is my story, this is my life, this is my journey. There's nothing I can do about it. I didn't want my kids to grow up with a mom that had cancer and to see me sick, but I realized very shortly after being diagnosed that everybody was showing up for us. People were making meals, people were bringing gifts, people were taking my kids on play dates, people were coming over and just sitting with me, people were sending cards. Everybody was showing up for us. We have this huge tribe of people, many of which we had never met before we knew I had cancer. And so it became the power of showing up. And that's the message I want to share with you guys today, is you can change somebody else's life. You can change the route of their day. You can change their entire outlook by just showing up. And you can do that in so many ways. By you guys pulling together and doing something like Komets VS Cancer, I can't tell you what that means to somebody like me and my family who's battling cancer. And some of you have probably been touched by cancer, whether it's a loved one, a sibling, a grandma, an aunt, something, and you know the depths of it. But when people show up for you, and when people are there for you, and you realize that this is a really awesome city, this is a really awesome world that we live in, and that people are so good, it changes the whole outlook on your life. So what I like to tell people is don't ignore the nudges. And if you start paying attention, you'll have nudges each and every day. It might be somebody crossing your mind that you haven't thought about for a long time. It might be that somebody in the hallway looks down and out, and you're not quite sure why, but you don't know if you should approach them and ask if they're okay or not. It might be mom coming home from a really bad day, and you're like, oh, do I walk on eggshells? Or, teenagers can hug their moms, okay? It's a huge thing for moms to get those hugs from their teenagers. And it can change a day. It can change a life. So by showing up today to this assembly, and by showing up and doing these events that the coordinators are putting on for you to raise money for cancer and for cancer research, and those of us that are struggling, and by sending a text message to make sure that they were okay because you noticed they didn't look so great in the hallway, or because somebody crossed your mind and you send them a text and say, hey, I don't know why you crossed my mind today, but I was thinking about you, so I hope you had a great day. It is so amazing because really what it all boils down to in this life is other people. People matter. We all matter, and we all want that human connection, and we all just care about other people, whether it's our best friends or our significant others or whatever it is. And so if you can make a point to show up for other people each and every day in the littlest of ways, even if it is the smallest of deeds, it will change everything. And so I just want to thank you once again for showing up today. Thank you for everything you do as Komets, for raising money and helping the Relay for Life, and supporting those of us that are walking a journey that right now just quite literally sucks. You are making all the difference. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.